From the kitchen of the cabin, it's the 5 Games for Doomsday review.
Kacka Alarm. About 8 years ago, I woke up with a fist in my stomach. A tightly clenched fist of anxiety. Throughout the day, it would slowly unclench, releasing its poison through my muscles, out to my extremities. It impaired my manual dexterity, my regularity, and corrupted my thought. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't engage in conversation or get through a paragraph of a book without having to go back to the beginning and read it again. I just wanted to sleep where respite lived. But soon a dread of sleep set in because I knew when I woke up the next day, it would be there again. That little clenched fist sitting on my sternum, waiting to unclench. I struggled to work out what was wrong. I stopped drinking. I ran more. But it was sitting in my flat one night, banishing reality with reality TV, that it clicked. I stood up and put all of my unnecessary possessions, my books, my DVDs, my plastic knickknacks drunkenly bought from eBay, into bags and boxes. All of this clutter that I'd bought in the hope that it would bring me somehow closer to some platonic idea of the good life was draining me of hope, so it could fill me with anxiety, so that anxiety would propel me into Loot Crate subscriptions and Super Mario keyring purchases. All of this stuff had accreted like calcium onto my psyche, and now it was manifesting itself as a tightly clenched fist in my stomach every morning. So I gave it all away. I walked to the nearest charity shop, dumped it on their desk, and walked away feeling lighter than I had in years. Consumer culture, the need to feed the market, has so atomized our society that simple, free interactions have almost been purged from our daily lives. The gossip, the natter, the chat have sublimed into the wistful size of wrinkled faces. How often do we nip round the neighbours for a quick sit down? Cities are now one giant star cloth of separate nebulae, each individual apartment's light glowing on its own, surrounded by black space. Our neighbours might as well be a galaxy away as just down the hall. Everything is now tied to the outlay of cash. We meet in bars and restaurants, cinemas and museums, delightful little cafes and cosy little bistros. We even speak like these insufferable marketing dickheads that we used to despise. The basic human need of just being close to one another has been riddled with the sarcoma of consumption. It is so ingrained in us that we spend even when there's nothing to buy. What do you buy the person who has everything? Something ironic, that's what. The ironic purchase is the true nadir of our life in the Western world. That we are willing to see the disappearance of atolls and the deaths of millions to buy that cup with a cock in or that tits-out pen should be the shameful epitaph written on the tomb of this phase of the human experiment. For a 30-second laugh, we seem perfectly content to say goodbye to the polar bear. Kacka Alarm from Mattel dances ditties on the walls of a dying civilization and gleefully plucks its violin as Californian forest fires rage and orangutans die for the want of a tree. In Kacka Alarm, players... No, forget this. I'm not describing this game. How many tons of shit like this is produced every year to give us 10 seconds of amusement? Have our lives become so devoid of meaning that a game in which you catch a piece of shit that has been propelled into the air is the height of knowing, ironic hipster gag-making? We all know what will happen to every copy of this game that's bought. It'll be played with for the maximum of one afternoon, then put on a shelf or into a cupboard or a dustbin, never to be looked at again. How many kilowatt hours of electricity, gallons of oil, and cubic kilograms of CO2 went into creating this obsolescence? The answer is too many. I played Kacka Alarm the other night, and I laughed along for the requisite 15 minutes. I took pictures and put them up on Instagram for the whole self-congratulatory ironic bullshit of it. I pretended to be the sophisticate, rummaging around in the filthy trenches of popular culture. But all of that posturing and knowing irony made me look like a careless idiot, made me look like Nero. Kacka Alarm is just more stuff. Kacka Alarm is flopped on top of the already huge pile of evidence that our intelligence in no way balances out our venal desire for instant gratification. Kacka Alarm is the crap we surround ourselves with that leaches into our bodies, that makes us feel dirty and weighted down. No matter how much we separate our rubbish and eat organic, it means nothing until we stop feeding into this destructive cycle of endless and useless consumption, until we pull on the brakes and stop driving this planet off a cliff. Fundamentally, it boils down to the fact that gaming is not about the bits in the box. It's about using those bits to experience tangible human connection. Minis don't matter, sparkly gems don't matter, and plastic fucking toilets don't matter. Don't buy this game. Resist the attempt to be dragged further away from your humanity. Squeeze value from life, and value is not buying and throwing away and buying and throwing away and buying and throwing away. It is spending time with those that you love before they no longer exist. It is the warm serotonin residue of laughter and thought and engagement. It is the memory of faces, bright in the glow of simply being in the same room as each other. What it isn't, and I can't stress this strongly enough, it is not pretending to laugh at catching a rubber turd. Thank you for listening, and you can support this podcast at patreon.com/5G4D.